Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another video. My name is Tom. Thank you so much for joining me here on the channel this evening. And let me tell you something. It is freezing. I have been working most of the afternoon outside on my driveway, and I've gone through 4 jackets, well, 2 jackets and 2 hoodies, and I'm at a point right now where I'm just not happy with anything that I'm wearing to combat the cold, which means I have to either knock over Amazon or something to get clothing that actually fits me. Unfortunately, having been in California for 20 years and then 3 years here in South Carolina, I've gotten a little spoiled when it comes to winter clothing. To be blunt, I don't have any. I have some that is like hooded sweatshirts and whatever Amazon specials I could get. As far as winter pants go, I got jeans. And as far as winter boots go, I have my Nike sneakers. So, and I also have these giant Skechers slip-ons that I use around the house to keep my feet warm. But anyway, you guys probably saw the short. I am in need of help to thaw out my driveway, but I think I'm going to wait until tomorrow morning when the sun rises, and I think I'm just going to continue chipping away at it. I'll do the best I can with, how much the cold will allow me to do. It's supposed to be, let me look here on the computer, tomorrow during the day, it's supposed to be, somewhere around 42 degrees. And that's towards 4 o'clock, 3 to 4 o'clock. So I'm guessing from noon, which is going to be above freezing, I'm going to be out there. And I'm going to try to get rid of as much of that ice as possible. I've read online about people using their garden hoses to thaw out ice. And the trick is to maintain drainage. Well, I have drainage, and somehow my driveway has 1.5 inches of ice on it, so the drainage is probably not enough. But be that as it is, I got to figure something out, because right now I am being held hostage by said ice. I can't move my car, and I'm grateful that the camera wasn't rolling when I moved my trash cans out to the part of the driveway which had no ice on it, because that was hysterical, and I'm not ready to show that part of my life on the internet. So, but I thought I'd get you guys up to date with my moving progress. I do have a roll of tape here, and I do have a bunch of medium-sized standard cardboard boxes that require assembly. So I thought while I'm doing this, I can just have a conversation with you guys. So to give you a little bit of an update, and of course forgive the noise because that's just the nature of all this. Where am I at? Well, I got rid of a lot of furniture that would have been an additional cost for me to move, with the movers. One of the things that I had to make a decision on early on was when I got the estimates, I had to find out what the moving companies were going to charge either per pound or per whatever weight constructs they use for doing their estimates. It turns out that the company that I went with, and I'm going to mention their name after I move, depending on how well things turn out. This company is a nationwide company. They've been around forever. And one thing that I like about them is that, because I don't have a house necessarily yet where I'm going to spend some time with family, living with my family, essentially. And they have a storage facility that they use. It's a private storage facility that only they use for their own stuff. Their storage facility is in a town called Mountain Joy, Pennsylvania. So what they're going to do is, and Mount Joy is within a reasonable commute of Harrisburg, of central Pennsylvania. It is in central Pennsylvania, actually. So with that said, they're going to come in, they're going to pack everything up that's not packed. Now I'm putting these boxes together because I intend on getting a little bit more forward traction. I've been hurting a lot. My back has been on fire pretty much constantly for the last, I don't know, I would say 3 weeks, solid. Lots of Advil, lots of, back and body medication. And now this horrible winter storm and low temperatures and yada, yada, yada. Everything's just coming together. My body's just upset. My dog is upset. I mean, everything is just gearing up to be, just a general state of upsetness. And what's worse is that the movers come in literally 7 days. So yeah, and it's the evening of Monday. What date's today? Monday the 28th? No, 26th. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on. But what that means is that I literally have until Sunday night to get everything that I need packed up, sorted out, yada, yada, yada. I need it to all be in one spot because on February 1st, I'm picking up the trailer that I'm renting from U-Haul to trailer my belongings that can't be moved by the movers. So anything that's personal to me that I need for work, paperwork for the car, paperwork for my dog, any computers, clothing and necessities that I will need pretty much immediately, because I'm going under the assumption that once I get there, I'm not going to have access to my stuff. So things like, obviously the appliances, the microwave, the fridge, the washer, dryer, and basically everything that's out in the garage, I won't need for, the foreseeable future. But for example, stuff that's in my 4-drawer filing cabinet, I'm going to need. I'm going to need my passport. I'm going to need my birth certificate. I'm going to need my company's documentation so that I can do business legitimately without having to worry about, it's over there in the storage, if something were to come up. Client data, all that stuff. When you're doing a move like this, you should really have all of that stuff in a box. So I got a bunch of these boxes. I got 20 to be specific. And a lot of them, what I'm going to do with some of them, I'd say probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 of these, I'm actually going to pack up some of my kids' stuff. He left a lot of things here because, it was an accident. He was stressed out. He was under pressure. And, we had a conversation one day when I was sitting in his room and he said, "Oh, I left that. Oh, I'm so sad." Or, "Oh, I left that." And I was like, "But I'm going to see you soon. I'm going to put it in a box and bring it to you, There's no problem. None of this stuff is getting thrown away." And I think that made him feel better because he was concerned that it was just going to get, tossed or thrown away or whatever. And that's not the case. I'm not going to do that to him. Also, I've already thrown away, I think, 16 bags, 16 60-gallon contractor bags full of trash that I won't be taking with me. In fact, tonight, there is a pile of stuff that came out of my pantry. The pantry cabinet is gone. That was taken probably 3 or 4 days ago, sometime last week. And all the stuff that was in it that I wasn't sure about keeping or whatever is now laying on the floor over there where the pantry was standing at one point in time. Also, the floor is the coldest part of this house, so that speaks volumes to the insulation. But I don't think this house was meant to be in sub-freezing temperatures for more than a day at a time, and even so, at night, because, you know, this is the South after all. And it's funny because my sister, she lives in Orlando, Florida. And when I was looking at her weather, in fact, right now in Orlando, it's hysterical because it's 49 degrees, and it's 23 here. During the day, it was like 72. And I'm thinking to myself, why can't some of that air flow up here? You know, why can the Arctic air be so much more dense and so much more higher pressure that it leads to zero humidity in these areas and it drops the temperature by 1,000 degrees? But anyway, I digress. So I have to get myself used to the fact that the cold is a thing. And I let myself go, obviously, in more than one way. But that wasn't a reference to my weight. That was a reference to my comfort, because I've let myself get comfortable in an environment that's not standard for most of the places where my family lives. So, you know, having been in California for so long where, you know, there are some nights when you get like frost warnings and, you know, they tell you to cover your plants and stuff like that. But that happens like once or twice a year, maybe every other year. And, you know, freezing temperatures don't stick around. You know, they come maybe, you know, a few times in a given winter cycle. And even then it's like 30 degrees, 29 degrees, you know. But around here for the last few days, the high was like 34 degrees. Today's high was like 34 degrees. And then there was wind. So now you have to consider wind chill. It's incredible. And I grew up in Pennsylvania. I spent 11 years of my life there as a child. You know, I went through all of middle school, all of high school, and my entire college education in central Pennsylvania. And I left Pennsylvania in 2004 after I graduated from college, and I moved to Atlanta. And it was really weird because I had winter clothing in trash bags that were in a trash bag on the bottom of my closet that when I moved out 2 years later, they were still in that same trash bag. So, you know, we did have several instances. I vaguely remember, you know, an instance where, you know, there was a rainstorm or whatever, and then it got below freezing, everything froze, and all of Atlanta basically shut down. You know, they basically closed the freeways. They basically made things just, things were inaccessible to a lot of people. And it got to the point where you're like, okay, I'm just going to hang out in my living room. But again, that was like one day, maybe 2 days, you know, but this Arctic blast has been here for what, 10 days now? And it went from cold, 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 cold to now, oh my God, we got rain, we got ice, we got snow, we got ice, we got rain, we got snow, some more. And I felt like the weather systems did not know what to dump down upon us, because there was either warm air in the atmosphere to where raindrops were actually falling while it was freezing on the ground, and then immediately everything was turning into a skating rink. But that's never really happened before. You know, the 3 years that we've been, you know, when my ex-wife and my son lived here, We've never experienced this. We've experienced a dusting of some snow or some ice, um, I think 2 winters ago. And that was like, yay, great. By the time the sun came up, it was gone. And the roads dried up. You never saw a snowplow. You never saw a driveway that has an inch and a half of ice on it. What's happening here and now is a true testament of what the human race has done to this planet. And this isn't a political statement. Don't get me wrong. I am about as center scale as possible. There are certain things that I like from both sides of the parties, and there's other things that I absolutely find atrocious. And I consider myself a professional. When it's time to play, I play. When it's time to get serious, I'm a pro. And I approach things as an engineer. That means that I solve problems for a living. And granted that my education and my experience is mainly in computer science, I apply all of that to my daily life, because in reality, how different is a human being from a computer? Well, we got memory, we got storage, we got the ability to process things, and as far as I'm concerned, we have an operating system. And if you factor all of the stuff that's inside our brain, and everything that we do day in, day out, you can call that a software stack. We have a database system in our head where we keep track of, things that are important to us. A family member, if you think about a family member, you recall their name, you automatically know where they live, what their birth date is, if you have that information, right? And all of that stuff. I look at the human body as a computer, as an automaton in some ways, or as Lieutenant Commander Data in Star Trek. It's one of those things that is so advanced, it's still, unclear why we use such a small percentage of our brain when we have this massive brain, right? And at the same time, we have the intelligence, we have built technologies, we have, built amazing accomplishments from the ground up over the last 100 years. I mean, every single one of us probably has a car. I mean, every single one of us has a cell phone. Probably most of the world right now has some kind of a device or a computer in their pocket. I mean, think about it. 40 years ago, would you have imagined that we'd ever have Facebook, MySpace, YouTube, the laptops we edit our content on, flat screen TVs in every house, let alone multiples? What about the car in your driveway? What about the light bulb? What about everything that's come since then? What about Blu-ray players or streaming media or compression algorithms or, I don't know, RAM modules that you put in your gaming PC? That came out of somebody's brain, and the more I think about it, the more I have to approach humanity's problems as a technical problem. Whether it's a glitch in the political system, whether it's a glitch in our ethics routines, or if it's, a bug in our communication stack, whether it's TCP/IP or IPX/SPX or hell, Novell NetWare going back to the 90s. It's all related. And I feel like having that approach to a problem allows me as a network engineer, as a computer professional, to solve problems. And I'm not going to say it's 100% because it's not. I mean, clear as day, my communication with my ex-wife was broken. There is a reason why I'm now sitting in this house alone packing boxes. This world has gone from something that I looked up to, that I wanted to be, how do I say this? I wanted to be proud of being part of society. I wanted to look at the world as something that I could give back to. You know, it also takes so much energy and so much effort to just live, to just exist. This concept of greed and forgetting about your neighbor and forgetting about the people close to you, not being willing to look out for your neighbor, or hell, even living by the golden rule. Most people don't even know what the golden rule is. They didn't grow up with it. They didn't grow up being pounded into their heads to do unto others as they would have others do unto them. It sucks and it makes me sad. But the point is that no matter what your political affiliation is, no matter what the opinions are of the general population, a fact is a fact. Science is based on facts. It cannot be excused because there are statements and facts being presented that we don't like. We don't have the option to say, that scientific statement is false. Unless we can prove that it is false, it isn't. That's reality, And we have to treat it as such. And we have to say, oh my God, we're ruining this planet. Our winters are getting crazier. What's going to happen in, a decade? Are we going to have 110-degree winters and 150-degree summers? Are we going to have such high UV counts hitting the earth because we've destroyed the atmosphere or whatever in such a way that we can't go outside without being dressed like this? Because every inch of exposed skin is going to, bake immediately. I don't know. That part scares me. I just hope that for the next week, all precipitation can just hold on. I pray for that because I don't want to have to drive in a slop storm, whatever it is, whether it's ice or snow or, frozen rain or whatever, up to Pennsylvania, because it'll be hard already enough as it is driving in that sort of condition. But I'm also going to have a trailer, and I'm going to have my dog, which means I have to stop along the way, and I can't just pull over and sleep. I have to consider her needs as well. She doesn't do well in cars. I don't know why, but ever since we adopted Duchess, God, years ago, 5-6 years ago now, she is petrified of the car because she thinks that she's going to get dropped off at a shelter. You can see the panic in her face. You can see her fear as she's looking out the window. Like, oh my God, are they gonna leave me here? Like, you can literally see all of that, and I hate doing that to her. And I keep thinking, like, I'll put her in the car and then we'll go somewhere. It'll be fun for her. It'll be fun for me, and then maybe she'll get used to it. Well, unfortunately, she's never gotten used to it. So I have to contend with her, which means that I pretty much need a straight arrow. Um, and after my stuff is packed and out of this house, guess what? That's it. I'm not going to have a bed here anymore. I'm going to lock the doors and I'm going to say goodbye to this house. You know, the day that I leave, I'm going to take down the cameras and I'm going to unplug everything, and that's it. So I have a week. On Monday next week, this house is going to be filled with people helping me pack up the rest of the stuff. You know, stuff that I'm taking, I decided to not necessarily box because I have these very small boxes. They're called medium boxes. But the reason I got these medium boxes is so that I can move them. But I do have boxes that survived the move from California, and some of them are like this big or even bigger, which the movers were able to move without even trying. Things that I couldn't even drag across the floor, they picked up with one arm and put it up like this on their shoulder and just walked it out. So, God bless them. I'm also not touching anything else in the garage. The only thing I need to do yet before I leave is I need to put my office into some kind of order, which is why I'm doing these boxes. Because everything else, like the one-off stuff that I'm gonna take to like my son and my ex, I already have boxes here for them. They're gonna go into the trailer the night before the movers come. So that's not even gonna be an issue. I'm gonna have those out of the house and out of the way. But then everything else that's left, I'm going to tell them, empty the house. Make sure there's nothing left inside this house. Take it all. And that's it. That's all I'm going to do. Because physically, that's all I can do. And mentally, that's all I'm capable of. Try not to get emotional. But this is tough. This is me going into my new life, my new phase of life. I have to get used to the fact that there's nobody there to make me meals anymore. I have to get used to the fact that there's nobody there to make laundry for me, to do my laundry, or to help me out when I need something. Or if I'm sick, to bring me medicine or to make me soup or anything like that. Those days are gone. And that was such a key part of my life, to know that I had a support system, to know that I had people next to me, even my son, you know, they were next to me all the time. And it wasn't out until after they drove away that all of this came rushing back to me. I remember standing outside when they drove away. I'm literally standing in the street. My arms dropped, and I literally told myself, oh my God, they're gone. They're gone for good. Yeah. Things are tough from every direction. It's funny, I grew up hearing the phrase, nobody ever said life was easy. You know, get up, dust yourself off. You know, like Aaliyah's song used to say, If at first you don't succeed, dust yourself off and try again. Rest your soul. But it's easier said than done. Anyway, I didn't mean for this video to get all emotional, but I just have to say it. I had to get this off my chest. So, yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for being a part of this channel and a part of the community. I have a video to shoot tomorrow, which hopefully I will have edited by tomorrow night. It's going to be the installation of the module for the backup camera of my Jetta, and hopefully that works out. I was going to do it today, but that driveway kicked my butt, and I just never went back to the car. I just closed the garage and gave up on it. So I will see you guys tomorrow night on that video, and take care and have a good evening. Bye-bye.